Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Man, been a tough day, man. Tough day. Tough day. Tough day, man. NBA, are people telling or what? You know, Damon Jones, Marvis Farley, uh, who's that? Eric Ernest. Yeah, it's been a tough one, man. Tough one. Tough one. We're gonna get into this indictment, y'all. Um, yeah, crazy. Crazy. At all times, relevant. Let me slide this joint over. Slide it over like this here. Come on up in here. Your boy Delray Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. Straight Game TV, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna get into this indictment. It's interesting, man. A lot of people saying the boy, was it Jonte Porter? They saying they wonder if he cooperated in this Terry Rozier indictment. Eric Ernest, Marvis Farley, Shane Hennon, Damon Jones, De Niro Laster, Terry Rozier, known as Scary Terry, and Chum. Crazy, man. So let's get into it. We're going to get into it. Wait for some more people come up in here. United States, Eastern District of New York. You see it, the indictment 25 CR 323, a bunch of penal codes, grand jury charges. So basically, they were indicted by a grand jury. Said as at all times relevant, this indictment, unless otherwise indicated, are the defendants and relevant entities and individuals. The defendants, Eric Ernest, also known as Spook, was a resident of Missouri. Defendants, Marvis Farley, also known as Vezino Locks, was a resident of Mississippi. Farley represented himself on Instagram as a successful sports bettor and sold sports betting picks through his Instagram profile, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. Isn't that amazing? And their mans gets indicted and somehow, they professional, they getting sports picks, right? The defendant, Shane Hennon, also known as Sugar, was a resident of Pennsylvania and Nevada. Hennon represented himself on Instagram as a successful sports bettor and sold sports betting picks through his Instagram profile. They selling betting picks through Instagram. The defendant, Damon Jones, also known as D. Jones, a resident of Texas. Jones was a National Basketball Association NBA player from approximately 1999 through 2009 and an NBA coach from approximately 2016 through 2018. The defendants, De Niro Lassiter, also known as Peso, and Nero was a resident of Ohio. The defendant, Terry Rozier, also known as Scary Terry and Chum, was a resident of Ohio, North Carolina, and Florida. Rozier was a professor. What they're saying was a professional basketball a player who played in the NBA since 2015. During his 2022-23 NBA season, Rozier played for the Charlotte Hornets. Rozier was a close friend with the defendant, De Niro Laster, and they had known each other since childhood, right? The NBA and the betting companies. The NBA was is, so that doesn't really affect Terry Rozier, is a professional basketball league in North America. Among other teams included the Charlotte Hornets, Chicago Bulls, Cleveland Cavaliers, Los Angeles Clippers, Lakers, Milwaukee Bucks, New Orleans Pelicans, Oklahoma City Thunder, Orlando Magic, Philadelphia 76ers, Portland Trail Blazers, Sacramento Kings, Toronto Raptors. The NBA maintained codes of conduct applicable to its players, coaches, and management that prohibited, among other things, wagering in connection with NBA games or providing non-public information related to NBA games to others. Such codes of conduct also require NBA players, coaches, and management to provide their best services and loyalty to their teams. NBA teams were required to report to the NBA information concerning players' injuries, illnesses, and the rest of all NBA games. On each game day, the NBA disseminated an injury report for each NBA game, NBA team playing that day. The injury reports identify players falling within one of the following categories: available, probable, questionable, doubtful, and out. The injury reports were updated multiple times throughout each game day. So betting companies, 1 through 4 entities and identities of which are known to the grand jury, were licensed gambling companies operating in the United States and offered sports betting services collectively and together with other online sports books and retail sports books and betting companies. The betting companies offered sports betting services relating to, among other things, the NBA games and individual player statistical performances in NBA games. Since approximately 2021, Betting Company 1 and Betting Company 2 have been co-official sports betting partners of the NBA. Now, I'm going to say something because I don't think a lot of people understand what's going on. These people, you see where it says since approximately 2021, Betting Company 1, Betting Company 2 have been the co-official sports betting partners of the NBA. Now, this is the crazy part. So these betting companies, and Kevin Love actually posted something on his Twitter earlier today, and he basically said, no DraftKings. He had a picture of Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups on his Instagram. It was Instagram or Twitter, and he was like, no DraftKings, right? Because the information that these players were alleged to have given out, the NBA gives to these betting companies for portions of their betting money, right? So you got to understand, if they have the information, right, then how favorable does it make it for them to wager when you're wagering, or anybody is wagering on the games? How favorable does it make them to win your money versus the information that Terry Rozier allegedly provided to the co-defendants in this case, right? So the NBA basically was doing the same thing that Terry Rozier and them is basically being alleged to do. I think that's what Kevin Love was getting at, right? I think that's what he was getting at when he said no DraftKings, because these companies pay the NBA money, portions of that betting money, right, in order to be able to wager on the NBA games. And I tried to, I explained, I'm like, when I go to Vegas, like I said, once again, I rarely play the NBA games like that because, like I said, once again, you have to understand they know who's going to play, who's not going to play, right? So where the money's going to be heavy versus where the money's going to be light. And so the games can be dictated if you go back to Tim Donaghy from that perspective. You know what I mean? I guess that's why Kevin Love put up that tweet or Instagram thing saying, Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups was arrested, but no DraftKings, because these companies are given the same insider information that they're claiming that Terry Rozier allegedly shared with his co-defendants. Since approximately 2021, Betting Company 1, Betting Company 2 have been co-official sports betting partners of the NBA, right? For people that really don't get this shit, I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Other relevant individuals are Long Phi Pham, also known as Bruce, was a resident of Queens, New York. Timothy McCormick was a resident of New York, New York. Jonte Porter was a resident of Missouri. Porter was an NBA player during the 2023-2024 season. That's what they're basically saying. They're saying this guy, Jonte Porter, who I believe was arrested or banned from the league for life sometime earlier, they're basically saying that he was a cooperator. This is how they got Terry Rozier. And this is alleged. These are alleged things. So like I said, yeah. Wow. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if that's true, but, no matter how much money you helping people get, when the shit hit the fan, you see right now they got basically witnesses, and it is what that is. Co-conspirator, an individual whose identity is known as the grand jury, was a resident of Florida. Co-conspirator one was at times an NBA player. Co-conspirator 2, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury as resident of Pennsylvania. Co-conspirator 3, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury as resident of Louisiana. Co-conspirator 4, an individual whose identity is known as the grand jury was a resident of Michigan. Co-conspirator 5, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury was a resident of Pennsylvania. Co-conspirator 5 was a relative of the defendant Shane Hennon. Co-conspirator number 6, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury was a resident of Ohio. Co-conspirator 6 was a relative of the defendant Terry Rozier. Co-conspirator 7, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury was a resident of North Carolina. Co-conspirator 7 was a relative of the defendant De Niro Laster. Co-conspirator 8 was an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury was a resident of Oregon. Co-conspirator 8 was an NBA player from approximately 1997 through 2014. I believe they're talking about might be Damon or Chauncey Billups, but I didn't see his name on the what's the name, so I believe that's Damon. And NBA coach, it was they talking about Damon Jones. An NBA coach since at least 2021. Co-conspirator number 9, an individual whose identity is known as the grand jury was a resident of Brooklyn, New York. Background: sports betting. On or about 1992, following several high-profile sports betting scandals, the United States Congress passed a Federal Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act, PASPA 28 U.S.C. 3702, which banned all but 4 states from sponsoring, authorizing, operating, or regulating sports wagering. The 4 accepted states are Nevada, Oregon, Delaware, and Montana had existing sports wagering regimes that PASPA grandfathered in, basically, right? In or about 2018, following years of litigation between the states of New Jersey, which desired to legalize sports betting, and several major American professional and college sports leagues, the United States Supreme Court struck down PASPA as unconstitutional. In the ensuing years, sports betting, and particularly online sports betting, became legal in dozens of states. Betting companies operated online mobile applications, branded retail sports books, at various casinos nationwide, or both online wagers made through the betting company's online mobile applications were made pursuant to the betting company's respective terms of use. Wagers made at retail sports books were made pursuant to the sports book house rules. Among other things, the terms of use and house rules generally prohibited users from wagering in connection with sporting contests when the wagers were based on or the users had access to pre-release confidential information or other non-public information. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the betting companies have this information, but we don't. So when we bet, the betting companies have an advantage that we don't, right? And so one must understand that. So like I said, the same thing that they're alleging that Terry Rozier and them did, like I said, you can look at the NBA and say, hey, they got the same information. And like I said, if you haven't seen the post by Kevin Love, you got to go check that out. Check out his Twitter or Instagram, if they haven't made him take that down already. But like I said, the terms of use of the house rules also prohibited individuals from using others to place wagers on their behalf, otherwise known as straw betting. Despite the recent widespread legalization of sports betting, unlicensed bookmakers or bookies also offered sports betting services, and bookies frequently accepted bets, bespoke betting websites that allowed users to place various types of wagers on sporting contests based on publicly available lines. Unlike legal sports bookies typically settled up the bettors' wages, i.e. received payment from and or paid the bettors in connection with the wagers offline, generally through cash, peer-to-peer payments, or cryptocurrency transactions. It says the proposition or prop bet was a bet made regarding the occurrence or non-occurrence during a game of an event not directly affecting the game's outcome. For example, a bettor might wager that a particular player would score more, referred to as betting the over, or fewer, referred to as betting the under points than a certain number of points designated by the betting operator for a given game. Prop bets took many forms. For example, a bettor could place prop bets on the points, rebounds, assists, minutes played, and or three-pointers made by the individual NBA player. A money line bet is a bet that's placed on the game outcome, i.e. a team would win or lose the game. Relatedly, a point spread or spread bet was a bet placed on the margin of victory or defeat in a given game. A parlay bet was a bet that was comprised of two or more individual bets, an opposite or single or straight bet, which was comprised of one individual bet for a bettor to win a parlay bet. Each bet or leg within that parlay bet had to be successful in order to win the whole parlay, basically, right? Betting line or line was a number set by a odds maker to represent the expected outcome of the particular event. In the context of the prop bets, a betting line was the number set by odds makers for a given outcome. For example, an odds maker might set the betting line for a given player points in a given game at 20. Bettors would then have a choice to bet the under, i.e. whether the player would basically score over 20 points, right? Or the over, the under, whether the player would score under 20 points, right? Or the over, i.e. the player would score more than 20 points. Odds makers had a proprietary process for setting bet lines, but betting lines generally took into account all publicly known information relevant to the given bet. Fraudulent wagering scheme, right? Check it out. So it's getting into the actual crime they allege to have been committed, right? In on or about between December 2022 and March 2024, the defendants Eric Ernest, Marvis Fairley, and Shane Hennon, Damon Jones, De Niro Lassiter, and Terry Rozier together with others, ladies and gentlemen. So that basically says that this ain't over. This ain't over. They not done with this. They got a couple more people, and people gonna be cooperating. Like I said, once again, they will tell on you, when shit get hot, right? And people facing, all of these individuals in this indictment facing up to 20 years. basically this is up to 20 years, together with others participating in a scheme to defraud betting companies. Listen, so check this out. So the NBA is not, I mean, I wouldn't say they're not mad about, but to defraud betting companies. Remember, the NBA, Betting Company 1 and Betting Company 2 were co-sponsored, by the NBA, or sponsored the NBA, right? Betting company, by providing, obtaining, and using non-public information relating to NBA games to place and cause others to place fraudulent sports wagers for profit and to launder the proceeds thereof, right? Wow. The fraudulent wagering scheme typically involved various iterations of the same pattern within a network of co-conspirators. The defendants and certain co-conspirators had access to private information known by the NBA players or the NBA coaches that was likely to affect the outcome of the upcoming NBA games or individual players' performances. They provided other co-conspirators this non-public information in exchange for either a flat fee or a share in the expected wagering profits for the purpose of betting. The co-conspirators disseminated the non-public betting information through a network of individuals who placed bets on the co-conspirators' behalf, placed wagers on their own behalf, or directed others to place wagers, all with the intention of profiting off of the scheme at the expense of the betting companies, right? Well, I wouldn't say at the expense of the betting companies, at the expense of other bettors, other people, because like I said, once again, those are the people that are putting up the money. Most of them people not going to win their money. And I'm going to get to that in a minute, right? As a result, many of the wagers were placed in connection with betting lines that did not reflect or account for the private information known by the defendants or the co-conspirators, rendering the wagers more profitable, right? The defendants and their co-conspirators place and cause others to place these fraudulent wagers through the betting companies' mobile applications and retail sports books. In doing so, the defendants and their co-conspirators made and caused others to make materially false and misleading statements and representations to the betting companies, and omit to state one or more material facts which what was represented under the circumstances misleading, including the wagers were placed in accordance with the betting company's terms and conditions, house rules prohibiting, among other things, wagering based on non-public information and straw betting. It's interesting to see this information. They're saying, like I said, once again, the betting companies themselves received the same information. Who was going to be out? Did they receive that information before everybody else knew it? This is the thing that's really going to come out. Do they receive the non-public information so that when we as the public go and bet, right? Do they have an advantage against us based on what they know and who's not going to play, who's going to play, and so on and so forth? That's the question, right? In many instances, the defendants and their co-conspirators fraudulent bets were successful and were paid out by the betting companies. The betting companies would not have paid bettors for successful wagers had they known the bettors possessed non-public information pertaining to the event, or were placing the wagers at the direction of and for the benefit of others, right? Furtherance of the scheme and to conceal the proceeds derived from it, defendants and their co-conspirators engaged in cause others to engage in transactions between and among themselves and others acting on their behalf, including peer-to-peer payment platform transfers, bank wires, and cash exchanges. Examples of such fraudulent wagers and laundering proceeds set forth herein. On March 23rd, 2023, Charlotte Hornets game. During the 2022-2023 NBA season, the defendant Terry Rozier played for the Charlotte Hornets. Prior to the Hornets' March 2023 game against the New Orleans Pelicans, the 2023 game, Rozier informed the defendant, Deniro Lasta, that Rozier was going to prematurely remove himself from the game in the first quarter due to supposed injury and non-return to play further. Rozier provided this information to Laster for the purpose of enabling Laster to place wagers based on this information. Rozier was not on the Hornets injury report prior to March 23rd. The game and Hornets officials were not aware of Rozier's plan to exit the game prematurely. The public, including the betting companies, was not aware of Rozier's plan to exit the March 23rd game prematurely. So they mad at Terry Rozier because Terry Rozier, he took himself out the game but like I said, once again, which one of us knows about anything? Like anybody could do that. Like I said, the key is if Mr. Laster, and which I think 9 times out of 10, Mr. Laster is going to testify against Terry Rozier. I'm sorry. That's basically what's going on. I mean, we see it here now. You know, they got the information. However, they got this information. They went to him. I would believe they him Laster up. They also mentioned, what's that, Jonte Porter. Yeah, this is crazy. Man, wow. The public, including the betting companies, also not aware Rozier's plan to exit. The defendant, De Niro Laster, sold the information about the defendant Tony Rozier's plan to leave on March 23rd game early to multiple co-conspirators. Wow. It's always greed, ain't it? Talking to the chat. It's always greed. It's always somebody telling, man. No matter how, like I said, I talked about this in a video the other day, man. No matter how much money you getting for a person, helping them get, when it come down to it, they'll tell on you. And that's why, you know what? Don't do nothing illegal, man. Don't do nothing illegal or considered illegal, right? Defendant De Niro Laster sold the information about the defendant Rozier's plan to leave the March 23rd game early to multiple co-conspirators, including the defendant Marvis Farley and co-conspirator 1, to enable them to place fraudulent wagers based on non-public information. In exchange for the information, Farley and co-conspirator agreed to pay Laster approximately $100,000 from their expected fraudulent gambling winnings. Prior to the March 23rd game, Farley, Laster, and co-conspirator 1 exchanged text. Listen, look, they talking over text messages, y'all. They talking over text messages like the phone company, like AI, metadata, and all of that stuff is not possible to receive. Isn't this crazy? But they said that they would listen. In the beginning, they said on their Instagram that they were professional sports bettors. How in the hell you gonna be a professional and you know that what you 9 times out of 10 you doing? Yeah, this is an allegation now, but this is what they're saying. This is what they're alleging. And you call yourself a professional and you texting about bets and hundreds of thousands of dollars for bets that you helping people place illegally. It's crazy. Prior to March 23rd game, Farley, Laster, and co-conspirator exchanged text messages confirming that Rozier planned to exit the game prematurely and confirming their plan to place wagers on Rozier's unders, i.e. that Rozier would underperform relative to the odds makers' betting lines for his individual performance. Wow. The defendant, Marvis Farley, also provided the information to defendant Shane Hennon, and so Hennon, both himself and through a network of straw bettors, could place bets on the defendant Rozier's unders. Farley provided the information to Hennon. Hennon agreed to place and direct his associates to place bets on Rozier's unders based on the agreement between them that Hennon would give Farley a share of the profits from his and his associates' winning bets. Wow. Wow. Shit is crazy. On or about March 2023 and prior to the start of the March 2023 game, the defendant Shane Hennon placed multiple bets at retail sportsbook operating by betting Company 3 totaling approximate of $61,200, all of which were either straight or parlay bets on the defendant Terry Rozier's unders. In addition to placing bets on Rozier's unders himself, Hennon, marshaled a network of associates to place bets on Terry Rozier's unders at Hennon's direction, including but not limited to the following bets, all of which were placed on or about March 23rd prior to the start of the March 23rd game. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say this. The reason why they caught this right here, was because they know there's no way on God's green earth that this many people could get it right. You see what I'm saying? Because they know how they have it rigged against us. Right? So when you understand how they were able to catch this, they like, damn, all of this money we paying to these, Hennon and whoever else and all of these other people that bet Terry Rozier's unders, you know what I mean? Knowing how good of a player he is, and like I said, one of the leading scorers on the Charlotte Hornets at that particular time, right? Including but not limited to the following bets, all of which were placed on or about March 2023 prior to the start of the March 2023 game. Co-conspirator 2 placed multiple straight or parlay bets Rozier's unders at a retail sportsbook operated by Betting Company One. Once again, Betting Company One was a co-official, a betting partner of the NBA. So, like I said, if they're allowing the NBA to bet, if the NBA is allowing Betting Company One to wager on their sport, you best believe that they're getting paid from that, right? So this is about money more than it's about somebody doing something wrong, if you will, right? And on Betting Company One's mobile application, totaling approximately $107,000. So dude placed $107,000 on parlays and Rozier's unders. Wow. So Timothy McCormick and Long Fee Pham placed multiple straight or parlay bets on Rozier's unders at a retail sports book located in New Jersey and operated by Company One. And on Betting Company One's mobile application, totaling approximately $41,000 hours earlier, McCormick received two payments totaling approximately $40,000 via a peer-to-peer mobile payment platform that McCormick and Pham used to fund the above-described wagers on Rozier's unders. While located within the Eastern District of New York, Pham, among other things, engaged in communication regarding and in furtherance of the fraudulent wagering scheme. Co-conspirators 3 placed multiple straight or parlay bets on Rozier's unders at a retail sportsbook operating by Betting Company One and Betting Company One's mobile application, totaling approximately $20,000. Co-conspirator 4 placed multiple straight bets on Rozier's unders at the retail sportsbook operating Betting Company and Betting Company One and Betting Company One's mobile application, totaling approximately $17,000. So, ladies and gentlemen, check this out. The money that we would, if you bet, let's say you bet your team win, you bet a parlay, like I said, they not really naming, and the reason why I don't know why they not naming the betting companies and they just calling them Betting Company One and Betting Company 2 is the fact that they, like I said, for all of the money that they win, and like say for instance on DraftKings, and like I said, I figured this out with FanDuel a long time ago when they got me for my money, right? So you know how you have lineups, you pick lineups, right? And this is the thing that the reason why they know and they understand what happened here. So when you pick lineups on FanDuel, you will pick certain lineups from different teams who you think would be the best lineup. What the algorithm would do after the game, because I'm telling you, I was the leading bet in one game. I was about to win the jackpot, right? And whole Christ knows, out of nowhere, you can look at the video is actually on my page, like some years ago, right? FanDuel. Without a doubt, FanDuel is rigged, and you can look, you can see. So what they would do is the algorithm when it's almost time for the person, the game's almost over, the algorithm would create a lineup under some frivolous ass name, right? That would come, or multiple lineups, right? That would come and beat your lineup. So therefore pushing you down. And nobody even knew what was going on. You would never know that. I would never know that. But now I understand how it works. I was like, wow. So I got beat out my money. Ain't nobody filed no charges about my money. You know what I mean? So like I said, once again, when people feel like they could get an edge, they're going to get an edge because, like I said, once again, we're talking about, and with the overs and the unders and things like that, you just something that you never know. But best believe that these betting companies are receiving this proprietary information in regards to who going to be in, who going to be out, right? And so therefore, you know what I mean? They understand how to maneuver around those situations, if you will, right? From that perspective. So yeah, it's crazy. And so, if they felt like, if they knew about it, they'd be like, well, yeah, we're not going, if they knew about it, they probably wouldn't even allow that wager to be waged. You know what I mean? But since the other side knew about it because, Terry Rozier, cousin, friend, best friend, or whatever, that's the reason why it goes. So when I seen that on FanDuel, I was like, wow, what the hell is this, man? They got me for my money. I seen it. I was like, who is this? And it was like some bogus ass line. I mean, not the lineup. The lineup was generated by an algorithm, and it didn't have no picture. It was some weird ass name, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, this is not no person, man. There's no way. I'm watching the game, and I'm like, all of a sudden these lineups just pop up out of nowhere. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, right? But it happens, and like I said, they're allowed to get away with it. That's why I don't play them apps no more, man. I don't play the apps no more. I'm like, okay, I get it now. And once I get it one time. You ain't got to tell me no more. Co-conspirator 5 placed multiple straight bets on Rozier's unders at a retail sports book operating by betting company 4 totaling approximately $12,500. In addition to the defendants and their co-conspirators, others in the defendant Terry Rozier's close circle placed wagers on Rozier's unders in connection with the March 23rd game. For example, co-conspirator number 6 placed approximately $800 bet on using betting one's mobile application on Rozier's under points since approximately 2022. Co-conspirator 6 has placed dozens of bet on Rozier's performances in various NBA games via Better Company One. Every one of those bets, with the exception of the under bet on Rozier's points in connection with the March 2023 game, was an over bet, right? So basically, co-conspirator number 6, he had placed multiple bets with this particular betting company since 2022, right? And every one of those bets that he bet on Terry Rozier up until this March 23rd game was an over bet. This was the only bet that he had ever placed an under bet, right? So basically they saying, once again, I'm telling you how they know, right? How they know based on the information, because they know the data. They know like I said, the computer system, the AI, the algorithm, all of that. So co-conspirators 6 bets on Rozier unders were successful, and co-conspirator 6 was paid approximately $1,500, right? By betting, but now betting. Check this out, y'all. Betting. So how much did he lose? That's the question I got. So he won $1,500 on that bet, but how much money did he lose? By the betting company. One. Oh, so in the days following the March 2023 game, co-conspirator 6 placed multiple additional bets using betting company One's mobile application and lost. There it is, y'all, and lost approximately $4,000. You see? Y'all see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So it wasn't until that he won that it's a problem. Be it what they're saying or calling, allegedly calling insider information, right? This still hasn't been proven in court. I don't know who's gonna say what and how they're gonna say what or whatever. Wherever they got the information from, right? Like I said, I'm sure, most sure somebody's telling, right? Somebody's telling on somebody because that's what they do when they get caught. Like I said, you see, all of the games that he had bet prior to that March 23rd game were overs. On the March 23rd game, it was an under. He won $1,500, right, by betting with Company One. In the days following the March 23rd game, co-conspirator placed 6 multiple additional bets using betting Company One mobile application and lost approximately $4,000, y'all. Amazing. So all of the other bets, he lost. Why? Why did he lose those bets, ladies and gentlemen? Because they know who's betting what and where. And it's crazy. Like I said, you ain't got to take my word for it. I told you what I found out on FanDuel, and I was like, oh, wow. Once I understood it, I'm like, oh, wow. And you don't know. If they come up with these bogus, AI or algorithmically generated lineups, you don't know if that's a real person that won the money. Hell no. Right? The money goes all to the company. Point blank, period. It's a clean slate. It's a clean wipeout. And you would never know or have the data, that information that anybody won anything. You just won't know, right? So it's like I said, so following the string of losses, co-conspirator 6 texted the defendant, texted the defendant, De Niro Lassiter, I lost that shit on betting companies one. I'm going to give you a light sack when I see you. Lassiter responded, bet, right? Wow. So look, they got text messages because they put it in there. I lost that shit on betting company one. I'm going to give you a light sack when I see you. Lassiter responded, bet. They got the text and everything, man. Niggas is going to jail, man. Motherfuckers is going to jail, man. This is crazy. Man. So on or about the morning of March 23rd, 2023, a relative of Lassiter created an online account with betting company one, and shortly thereafter, Lassiter placed an approximately $4,000 parlay wager on Rozier's under for the March 23rd game. The wager was funded by co-conspirator Sevens, who on prior occasions in the context of discussing sports betting had asked and received for Lassiter non-public information relating to Rozier's health status. Wow. They all hemmed up, man. They all hemmed up. It's a done deal. It's a done deal. They got text messages. Motherfuckers is chatting and asking stuff, and oh man. During the March 23rd game, the defendant Terry Rozier removed himself from the game in the first quarter and did not return. Rozier played approximately 9 minutes and 34 seconds, well below his season average of approximately 35.5 minutes per game. Rozier scored 5 points, recorded 2 assists, and made 1 3-point shot, which were all well below his per game average of approximately 21.1 points, 5.1 assists, and 2.16 3-pointers, and below the line set by the odds makers for Rozier's points, assists, and 3-pointers in the March 23rd game. Rozier collected 4 rebounds, which was in line with his per game average of approximately 4.1, and the above line set by odds makers for Rozier's rebounds on the March 23rd game. See what I'm saying? So they, based on the information that they're receiving, they know how to set the odds. They know how to set it up. They know what to do based on the information that they're receiving. So lo and behold, you get his tip, or somebody, somebody say whatever. But like I said, all of this is alleged. I don't know if it's really true. From what it seems like to me, they basically quoting text messages and things like that. So it looks more legit or probable than anything, if you will, right? Rozier collected four rebounds, which was in line with his pregame average of approximately 4.1 rebounds and above the line set by the odds makers for Rozier's rebounds in the March 23rd game. Rozier early exit from the March 23rd game and his related underperformance relative to his season average for points, assists, and three-pointers resulting in the success of numerous fraudulent wagers placed on Rozier's unders by the defendants and their co-conspirators. On or about March 28th, the defendant Marvis Farley traveled to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to collect proceeds from defendants Shane Hennon from the successful wagers Hennon and his associates placed on the March 23rd game, as well as proceeds from other fraudulent wagers Farley and Hennon made in connection with the fraudulent wager scheme. On or about March 28, 2023, the defendants, De Niro Lasta, also traveled to Pennsylvania to collect from Farley proceeds from the fraudulent wagering scheme relating to the defendant Tony Rozier's performance in the March 23rd game. Rozier arranged and paid for Lasta's travel to Philadelphia in or about and in between the late night hours of March 28th and the early morning hours of March 29th, 2023. Farley gave Lasta tens of thousands of dollars in cash in payment for the non-public information that Lasta had obtained from Rozier and had provided to Farley regarding Rozier's plan to exit prematurely on the March 23rd game. Yeah, boy. Yeah, they done. Wow. You know the crazy part? Like Terry Rozier. Like, I mean, you couldn't start a business, give these dudes a job or something. I mean, you know, from what the rules are, it's like, and I get it. But I mean, evidently they dealing with the type of guys, man, that they so happy to know something that don't nobody know. They talking over text messages. They doing all of this crazy flying, and he booking the dude. Listen, dude ain't even got enough money. Laster don't even have enough money to book his own plane. Because you know that they got the information. If they putting it in the indictment that Rozier provided, basically paid for Laster's airfare to go to Pennsylvania, you know they got everything. Right? Man. Say after the defendant, De Niro Lasta, collected his cut from the fraudulent wagering scheme, proceeds from the defendants, Marvis Farley, Lasta drove from Philadelphia to the defendant Terry Rozier's home in Charlotte, North Carolina. Lasta arrived in Charlotte on or about March 30th and met Rozier at his home that day during the early morning hours of April 1st, 2023. Listen, y'all, they know everything. The dates, the times. Oh, man. April 1st, 2023, Lasta and Rozier counted the money that Lasta had obtained from Farley in Philadelphia. They acting... Yo, what's Terry Rozier's contract, man? Somebody look that up real fast. Let me hold on, man. What is this guy's contract, man? Let me see something, man. This don't make no sense, man. Dude, come on, man. Come on. See, dude, this right here, I'm looking at it. Terry Rozier contract detail. Rozier inked a 4-year extension worth $96.3 million with the Charlotte Hornets, y'all, ahead of the 2022 NBA season. The deal was the 31-year-old's third contract since entering the NBA in 2015 at the first round pick by the Celtics. It was also the biggest deal to date, topping his previous two contracts combined. Ladies and gentlemen, Rozier's current contract comes in average salary of $24 million like most NBA contracts, the $96.3 million was fully guaranteed. Dude, this guy had a $96 million contract, and he gonna fuck it up for, come on, Terry. God damn. And man, if you needed some help to manage your money, man, I don't know. I don't know, man. $96 million and I understand they, like, most NBA players in the 35% tax bracket, because you pay a lot of taxes on the money. But for a couple $100,000 and you make $24 million a year? Wow. And like I said, once again, De Niro Laster collected his cut from the fraudulent wages scheme proceeds. The defendant, Farley Laster, drove to Philadelphia, see Terry Rozier's home, Charlotte, North Carolina. Laster arrived in Charlotte on or about March 30th, 2023, met Rozier at his home that day during the early morning hours of April 1st, 2023. Laster and Rozier counted the money that Laster had obtained from Farley. So now look, Farley. So now look, so if they have all of this in the grand jury indictment, that the feds basically, they caught dude and them before any and everything came out, right? And they gave the feds all of the information. They wouldn't have all of this. The date he left, what rental car company did you take? What flight did you take? They went back to the, what's the name? Do you still have the, what's the name for the ticket? Who paid for your flight? Terry? Come on, man. On March 24th, 2023, Portland Trailblazers game. On or about March 24th, 2023, the Portland Trailblazers played the Chicago Bulls March 24th game. Prior to the game, the Trailblazers recorded a 32-40, and the team was out of the playoff contention with only 10 games remaining in the season. Prior to the March 24th game, co-conspirator 8 told the defendants, Eric Ernest, that the Trailblazers were going to be tanking, i.e. intentionally losing, to increase their odds of getting a better draft pick in the upcoming NBA draft. That's nothing new. We that's nothing new that you see every year. If you watch the NBA, you'll see certain teams, trying to get a better draft spot, so they won't even really play that hard or play their star players. Co-conspirator 8 told Ernest before the news was publicly announced that several of the Trailblazers' best players, including player one, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury. Who was that? What's his name? Damn. I can't think of his name right now if it comes to me. Player one, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury, would not be playing in the March 24th game. The information that the Trailblazers would be tanking and not playing their player one was not available to the public, including the betting companies. Right. Dame Lillard. That's the only person Dame Lillard. Think about it. You ain't making the playoffs. Why you gonna play Dame Lillard? So I'm thinking it's Damian Lillard, right? Prior to the March 24th game, the defendants, Eric Ernest, provided this non-public inside information to the defendants, Marvis Farley, and Farley could place fraudulent wagers on the game and share the profits with Ernest. In exchange, Farley ultimately promised to pay Ernest at least $5,000 if the bets against the Trailblazers were successful. In addition, Farley texted Ernest a screenshot of the purported $20,000 wire transfer from Farley's bank account, and Ernest accompanied by the message addressed for wire, right? Wow. They got these dudes dead to rights, man. Ooh. After the defendants, Marvis Farley learned from the defendant, Eric Ernest, that the Trailblazers planned not to play their best players in the March 24th game. Farley conveyed to that non-public information to co-conspirator 1. Farley and co-conspirator 1 agreed to split the profits on successful wagers they could place against the Trailblazers. Before the key Trailblazers players were publicly ruled out of the March 24th game, the defendants, Marvis Farley and Shane Hennon, themselves and together with their co-conspirators, including co-conspirator 1, placed and caused the placement of multiple bets on the Trailblazers would lose the March 24th game, totaling more than approximately $100,000. For example, between approximately 12 p.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on March 24th, which was before the key Trailblazers players were publicly ruled out, Timothy McCormick and Long Fee Pham acting together with with Pham acting as at Hennon's direction, placed bets against the Trailblazers approximately $20,000 through betting companies' One mobile applications and approximately $12,000 through betting Two's mobile application, right? The NBA injury report publicly released so listen, let's hear this. The NBA injury report publicly released. So now that they not playing the players, right, doesn't mean that they're injured. But the NBA injury report public release at approximately 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on March 24, reported that player one was respectively probable and then questionable to play the March 24th game. You see it right here. So now, if player one, who I'm thinking is Damian Lillard, if player one wasn't hurt, right? The NBA injury report. So can you imagine how many people that they're saying that they didn't have the information, right? Can you imagine how many people would place bets on, the Portland Trailblazers to win? More so know that Damian Lillard or whoever the number one player was, he was the number one player, star player on the team. So at that particular time. So can you imagine the NBA injury report publicly released? He wasn't injured, right? He wasn't injured. That's clear. Dude basically said that, hey, he wouldn't be playing because they wasn't making the playoffs. So it wasn't even no need to play him, right? Reported the player one was respectively probable, then questionable. Remember I said earlier that the reason why I don't really bet on games like and stuff like that, because of the probability. There are too many probabilities. Too many probabilities that you have to kind of get around for you to win, without somebody having some information that you don't have, to play the March 24th game. At approximately 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on March 24th, 2023, approximately a half hour before the start of the game. Listen, a half hour before the start of the game, how many bets went in, y'all? How much money was bet on Portland? Right? So you mean come on, man. The NBA released an injury report listing player one and others out of the game. The out group, so they weren't injured, they just didn't play them. Right or wrong. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the share button. We got to get this out there, man. You know what I mean? If you don't get nothing else from this, like I said, understanding what they did, but more importantly, what not to do. You know what I mean? Don't bet on that. Don't bet on it, man. You see right now, and if you, like I said, if people didn't take time to read it, they wouldn't understand it and read between the lines, not what they're telling you about what somebody else did, but basically what they're doing themselves. Simple, right? Including the Trailblazers' four highest per game scorers, ladies and gentlemen. All of those players were kept out of the game. How many people bet on the Portland Trailblazers that day, right? Thinking that they would win when somebody, not just for the player number one, but somebody knew about this information. So if you bet on the Portland Trailblazers that day, you basically lost your money. Or if you put the Portland Trailblazers in a parlay of 4 teams that were playing that day, 3 teams, you lost your money. All of it. All of it, ladies and gentlemen. So you got to really understand. So when they're saying, they're basically revealing what goes on. So if you don't know and you can't see, you better listen up. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the share button. The betting lines relating to the March 24th game changed upon the public release of the Trailblazers. A lot of people are placing bets on their favorite team way before the and once again, you see the betting lines change. the information changed. You see it right here. Upon the public release of the Trailblazers' key players' injury statuses, right? The betting lines basically changed. Amazing. This is crazy. This is crazy. You know, I'll never look at the NBA the same again, man. After this came out there, I mean, like I said, Terry Rozier and all of them, you know, whatever. Like I said, hopefully he saved enough of his money, invested enough of his money where he won't go broke ever in life. But I don't think he'll play another NBA game with this one. Yeah, this is a done deal. You know what I mean? The fraudulent wages against the Trailblazers, and I'm saying this is alleged if he's convicted. Or like I said once again, I think the scandal runs a little bit deeper than this, man. I think it runs a little bit deeper than this. The fraudulent wages against the Trailblazers placed and caused by defendants Marvis Farley and Shane Hennon together with co-conspirators acting at the direction were successful. And the Bulls beat the Trailblazers 124-96. Amazing. Amazing. On April 6, 2023, Orlando Magic game. On or about April 6, 2023, the Orlando Magic played the Cleveland Cavaliers. The April 6 game, right? The defendants, Marvis Farley and co-conspirator, leveraged co-conspirator one's personal relationship with one of the Magic's regularly starting players, player two, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury to obtain non-public information about the April 6 game, which they used to place at least one successful wager. Hours before the April 6 game, player two told co-conspirator one, before the news was publicly announced, that the Magic would not be playing its entire regular starting lineup, i.e. the team's best players, in the April 6 game, right? After receiving this information, co-conspirator one provided this information to the defendants Marvis Farley. At the time that co-conspirator one shared this information with Farley, the Magic were favored to win. Listen, the Magic were favored to win the game by approximately 9 points. Shortly thereafter, Farley placed an approximately $11,000 wagers with an unlicensed bookmaker that the Cavaliers would cover the game spread of 9.5 points. That is, the bet would be successful if the Cavaliers won the game outright or lost the game by 9 points or fewer. Wow. Wow, amazing. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the share button, right? This is very interesting. Like I said, you get it from the news, but I like to get the full story, right? The Magic did not play the entire regular starting lineup in the April 6 game, and the betting lines changed upon the public release of the information. Like I said, once again, what about the people who place wagers on the game? Listen. What about the people who place wagers on the games way before this information came out, just simply because they are Orlando Magic fans? They lost their money. They lost their money, point blank, period. So, like I said, once again, you know, I don't know what Terry Rozier knew or knows about how the whole thing with the NBA goes. And, you know, if they see it themselves, they're like, oh, you know, such and such being held out today. What's up with that? Like, is there a reason? You know, well, we've seen clearly with this indictment that the Portland Trailblazer players wasn't hurt. It was a bunch of them they kept out. They're not playing them tonight. What? I bet on that game. You know what I mean? You thinking I bet on that game. What would you mean they ain't playing tonight? That's some bullshit. I done lost my money now. Simple. Simple as that, right? So the Cavaliers beat the Magic by the Cavaliers beat the Magic by 24 points, right? In the April 6 game, thus rendering Farley and co-conspirators' fraudulent bet against the Magic successful. On February 9th, 2023, January 15th, 2024, the Los Angeles Lakers. Damon Jones, where'd you get that information from? Because they want to know. They want to know, right? Because I don't think Damon was coaching no more. Where did he get the information from? This is the key statement right here. Listen, the defendant Damon Jones was a former NBA player and assistant coach. Jones played in the NBA from approximately 1999 to 2008, including as a member of the Cavaliers from approximately 2009 through 2008. Jones was an assistant coach on the Cavaliers from approximately 2014 to 2018. Jones was also an unofficial assistant coach on the Los Angeles Lakers during the 2022-2023 season. Okay, so he was working for the Lakers as an unofficial. Get it? Like I said, once again, unofficial assistant coach on the Los Angeles Lakers during the 2023 NBA season. During many of those years, Jones was a teammate or coach of a prominent NBA team, a prominent NBA player, player 3. Listen. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to read that part again. What it says, during many of those years, Jones was a teammate of a prominent NBA player, player 3, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury. Could that be LeBron James, y'all? Come on now. Damon Jones did play with LeBron James, didn't he? I'm not saying that it's LeBron. I'm asking you, is that LeBron James? Could be, could not be. But, well, there we go. 2022-2023 NBA season. During many of those years, Jones was a teammate or coach of a prominent NBA player, player 3, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury by virtue of his relationship with player 3. Who is that? Hold on, y'all. By virtue of the relationship with player 3, the Lakers and NBA personnel, the defendant, Damon Jones, had access to non-public information, right? Including medical information that had not been released to the public on multiple occasions during the 22-2023 season and 23-2024 season, right? Including as early as approximately December 2022, Jones sold or attempted to sell for profit non-public information to others, including to the defendants Eric Ernest and Marvis Farley and others, for the purpose of causing or enabling them to place fraudulent wagers based on non-public information. So basically, Eric Ernest and Marvis Farley, they had to turn. I did this the only way that that this would be in the grand jury indictment, ladies and gentlemen. Right? This is the only way that it would be in the indictment. And my thing is like, wow. Damon Jones, I don't know how much money Damon Jones, we got to look that one up. How much money did Damon Jones make over his NBA career? Well, during his NBA career, they said Damon Jones, NBA made nearly $22 million, right? At the time, as of recent, basically said he was net worth of approximately around $7 million as of 2025, ladies and gentlemen. Man, dudes need to learn how to invest their money, man. This is crazy, dude. I mean, like I said, he had, relationships with different teams. He was working. He was doing all of these other things, man. This is crazy, man. This is crazy. Basically, he's selling insider information, including defendants Eric Ernest and Marvis Farley and others, for the purpose of causing or enabling them to place fraudulent wagers based on non-public information. For example, on or about February 9th, 2023, the Lakers played the Milwaukee Bucks February 9th game. On the morning of February 9th game, the defendant Damon Jones sent a text message, y'all. Sent a text message to co-conspirator 9 writing, "Get a big bet on Milwaukee tonight before the information is out. Player 3 is out tonight." Ladies and gentlemen, go to hold on. I'm going there right now. Fuck all that. Watch this. I got to do this. So February 9th, right? February 9th, 2023. Go look up what player did not play. February 9th. Wow. Did it stop me? What happened, y'all? What happened? Ooh. Did they stop me? Y'all can y'all hear me? Y'all, I'm still. Y'all can still hear me? Type in the chat if you can hear me. I think I pressed pause on the thing. I'm back. I'm back. Let me see. Can you hear me? That's the February 9th, 2023 game, ladies and gentlemen. February 9th, 2023. All right, thank you. I appreciate that, Retro. 813. I hear you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I must have hit the pause button, y'all. So type into the chat, y'all. Let me know on February 9th, 2023, the Lakers played the Milwaukee Bucks. What player did not play? This is a master class. We finding out the real information, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do this. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that, PA. Yeah, this is what it's Sherrod. It's so go look it up. Kid the Barber. Ladies and gentlemen, look it up. On February 9th, 2023, the Lakers played the Milwaukee Bucks. Right? Which player did not play in that game? We need to know. Wow. Ooh wee. This shit just got deep, man. Aaron Castro, you serious? Do me a favor, post some of what you're reading in there. Copy and paste it and post it in the chat. So we know that it's 100. The information you're giving is 100. Quan say LeBron. Yeah, I believe you now. You ain't even got to waste no time. Amazing. I want you to understand something, y'all. Listen to what this shit just said. On February 9th, 2023, the Lakers played the Milwaukee Bucks. February 9th game. On the morning of February 9th game, the defendant Damon Jones sent the text to co-conspirator 9 writing, "Get a big bet on Milwaukee tonight before the information is out." What information? LeBron is out tonight. Wow. Yeah, absolutely. LeBron James is player 3. Oh, it's about to ratchet up. This is nothing, y'all. This is nothing. And the key is, like I said, they and for what? Listen, they're basically sparsing this up, right? Player 3, the grand jury knows who player 3 is. Now we know who player 3 is based on the investigation and doing the research, right? So you can understand, like when I come to y'all bringing y'all this straight game, you understand how I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you thoroughly researched, so you understand. So right now, we doing it right now together. You know what I mean? So, and I appreciate everybody in the chat, Quan, Green Bay, and everybody else who, so Red, the father of Yaja, son, yeah. Kid the Barber. Who else? Sherrod. Yeah. LeBron James is player 3. Point blank, period. And, wow. Amazing. I had this conversation earlier today. Yeah. Bet on D Jones can eat. He said player 3 is out. Bet enough so D Jones can eat too. Did you all see that shit? He said bet enough so D Jones can eat too. So dude, listen, man. What the hold on, man. The dude's supposed to be worth $7 million. Why are you trying to make side bets? This is crazy. This is crazy. Wow. So the other day, did LeBron James play the other day in the Laker game? LeBron didn't play the other day. Remember that, y'all? If you remember, LeBron didn't play the other day. Look it up. Look it up, y'all. LeBron didn't play the other day. The other day, with that first game back, LeBron didn't play, did he? Ain't no keeping no heat off of him. This indictment got him as player 3. Ain't no heat off of him. He didn't play, huh, Green Bay? Wow. Hey, they might come and get LeBron, player. If they shake Damon Jones' bush and something fall out, well, they already know what it is. Amazing. Ooh, it just got thick in the room. The room just got thick, y'all. Like I said, I don't believe LeBron was gambling or nothing like that. But like I said, if Damon Jones going there saying, hey, we gonna give you 20 years and tell you, if you don't tell us, see this, once again, I'll tell you, this is how they put the pressure on you, right? No, he didn't play the season out until November. Ooh. Well, like I said, I don't know why he's out, and I'm not trying to guess or allege anything. At the end of the day, Damon Jones basically said, bet enough so D Jones can eat too. Right? Wow. At the time, Jones provided this non-public information about player 3 to co-conspirator 9. Player 3 was not ruled out on the NBA's injury report. So how did he know? So who told him? Listen, ladies and gentlemen, they're alluding to it now. They are alluding to it now. At the time, Jones provided this non-public information about player 3 to co-conspirator number 9. Player 3 was not ruled out on the NBA's injury report for the February 9th game. Wow. Due to a lower body injury, player 3 did not play in the February 9th game, which the Lakers lost. Amazing. If we could be so lucky, right? If we could be so lucky. Yeah, like I said, Retro 813, there you go. Now, like I said, I wouldn't say he got it from LeBron. I wouldn't dare go there. But it's ripely suspicious. Because, like I said, being inside the organization, but he was an unofficial. We don't know that. And the cold part about the game and not trying to make any kind of allegations as to what we think we know or don't know. What will Damon Jones, tell the feds? And like I said, let me be clear because you got to understand what I'm saying. LeBron James ain't giving up no information to Damon Jones so he could tell other people to bet on the game and so that LeBron James could win any kind of way. It could be as benign as be like, LeBron James saying, yeah, man, I ain't playing tonight, blase, blah, right? And then Damon Jones takes it upon himself, right, to go and do that. That ain't got nothing to do with LeBron. So let's be clear about that. Like I said, so, as to not make it appear like LeBron James is somehow complicit in this behavior. Like I said, like you could tell a friend, like, you playing and I ain't playing tonight. You know what I mean? Now, if they run off and tell somebody that information in order to do something illegal, LeBron ain't got nothing to do with that. Let's be clear. Just so that people understand and know. You could be a LeBron hater. You could not like LeBron. You could not like the sneakers that he wear or none of those things, right? But when you understand what's going on, put it in its proper context. Green Bay, they said that he was an unofficial assistant coach, so he wasn't even official, right? I don't know how that works out unofficially. You know what I mean? Now, listen, check it out now. As we go on multiple other occasions during the 23-2024 season, NBA season, included in connection with the January 15th game between the Lakers and the Oklahoma City Thunder, January 15th game, the defendant Damon Jones and Eric Ernest sold or attempted to sell the defendant Marvis Foley non-public information for the purpose of causing or enable Foley to place wages based on the non-public information. In exchange, Foley agreed to pay Jones via Ernest. So they got him, dude. Dude, listen to me. Damon Jones going to jail. Remember, they sent Big Baby to jail for the what's that, the insurance scam dealing with the NBA? Yeah, he said, hell, LeBron is an unofficial coach. Funny. No, on a more serious note, ladies and gentlemen, Damon Jones going to jail. They gonna make it. You don't understand. You see, listen to me. Remember the referee Tim Donaghy when he was doing it. Tim Donaghy, he knew a lot, and so they really went light on him. But once again, they're gonna make examples out of these guys, man. Unless they cooperate. If they don't go up the food chain and give them somebody else bigger, higher, or from that perspective, he going to jail, man. So Damon Jones, if you listening to this, man, man. And like I say, that's why you see the Terry Rozier Operation Nothing But Net. That's what it was called. Operation Nothing But Net. The paperwork. They will tell on you no matter what. They will tell on you no matter what, man. I'm telling you, no matter how much money you was getting with them, right? And so on the January 15, 2024 game, Damon Jones says, in exchange, Foley agreed to pay Jones via Ernest. Player 4, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury, was one of the Lakers' best players during the 2023-2024 NBA season. Prior to the January 15th game, the defendant, Damon Jones, claimed to have learned from the trainer. So this once again, not even looking at LeBron, Damon Jones claimed to have learned from the trainer, from LeBron's trainer, ladies and gentlemen. So on the January 15th game, the defendant, Damon Jones, claimed to have learned from LeBron James's trainer. And player 4, that player 4 was injured and was only going to play a limited number of minutes, and or his performance would likely be affected in the game because of his injury. Ladies and gentlemen, you can go look that up if you want the information. Jones shared this non-public information with the defendant's Eric Ernest, who then sent a text to the defendant, Marvis Foley, stating, hit me. Listen, look. He's like, yo, hit me ASAP. Got one for you, dude. Say he got some info. Ernest. Then he shared the non-public information about player 4 with Foley. Foley paid Jones approximately, man. Y'all see this, man? Foley paid Damon Jones approximately $2,500 through an intermediary via a peer-to-peer mobile payment platform, accompanied by the message fee. They got everything, man. Damon Jones is going to jail, bro. Dude, he made $22 million over his career. They say in 2025 he was worth $7 million. And he's selling insider information to basketball games for $2,500. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Wow. Wow. After receiving this non-public information and before the January 15, 2024 game began, the defendant, Marvis Farley, shared the information with co-conspirator 1 and the defendant, Shane Hennon. Farley and co-conspirator 1 then placed and caused the placement of multiple bets against the Lakers. For example, Farley placed approximately $100,000 bet against the Lakers at a retail sportsbook operated by betting company number 2. Hours before the January 15th game, the NBA injury report listed player 4 as probable. Once again, right? Too many probabilities, as I was saying. And it was not publicly disseminated, including to the betting companies, that player 4 would possibly play a limited number of minutes and or poorly due to injury. Ultimately, player 4 played in the January 15th game in line with the season average in minutes and performed well, and the Lakers won the game. After the January 15th game, the defendant, Marvis Farley, requested via the defendant, Eric Ernest, that Damon Jones repay Farley the $2,500. Wow, dude. Hey, yo, no, that's funny. So dude lost $100K. He lost $100K and he wanted his $2,500 back. Wow. Damn, yo. Damn. You see it, ultimately, player 4 played in the January 15th game in line with his season average in minutes and performed well, and the Lakers won the game. Right after the January 15th game, the defendant, Marvis Farley, requested via the defendant's Eric Ernest that the defendant, Damon Jones, repay Farley the $2,500 that Farley had paid for the non-public information. Despite the Lakers winning the January 15th game, Jones reaffirmed to Ernest after the game, including via text, that he had received credible non-public. Wow. Credible non-public information regarding player 4 prior to the game. Now, wow. This shit is deeper. Yeah, man, I don't know. But like I said, a lot of these dudes was going around having kids. Child support was eating their ass up. You know what I mean? They was able to get broads that they couldn't have and run around having kids with all these broads. Child support tearing their ass up. Then now you stop playing. You ain't making that no money no more like that. You know, if you played long enough, you could get a pension. Dude took $2,500, man. And dude lost $100K. That's crazy. On January 26th, just last year, 2024, and March 20th, 2024, Toronto Raptors games. On about January 26, 2024, the Toronto Raptors played the Los Angeles Clippers. January 26th game, Sacramento Kings, March 20th game, respectively. Prior to the January 26th game and the March 20th game, Jonte Porter, then a player on the Raptors, agreed with Lee Fee Pham and others to exit the game prematurely on the basis of purported injuries, so that certain of the co-conspirators could place fraudulent wagers on Porter's unders. Jeez, what? Damn, these dudes is dumb. Are you serious? So he could win a fraudulent bet? What the hell? Prior to both the January 2026 game and the March 20th game, Pham provided non-public information about Porter to the defendant Shane Hennon for the purpose of causing and enabling Hennon to place fraudulent wagers based on the non-public information. After obtaining this non-public information, Hennon shared this information with the defendant, Marvis Farley, for the purpose of causing or enabling Farley to place additional fraudulent wagers based on the non-public information. After obtaining the non-public information relating to Porter's planned to exit the January 26th game and the March 20th game early, Hennon placed and directed and caused a number of his associates to place wagers on Porter's unders, all of which were successful. Hennon conducted multiple transfers via peer-to-peer mobile payment platforms to promote the scheme and distribute proceeds of such wagers. Count 1, conspiracy to commit wire fraud. All of them. Wow. So they got wire fraud through allegations contained in paragraph 1 through 62 are re-alleged, incorporated as fully in self set forth paragraph in or about December 22nd, March 2024. December 2022, March 2024. Both dates being approximate and inclusive within the District of New York's and elsewhere. Defendants Eric Ernest, also known as Spook, Marvis Farley, also known as Vezino, Locks, Shane Hennon, also known as Sugar, Damon Jones, also known as D. Jones, and D. Jones, De Niro Laster, also known as Nero, Peso, and Terry Rozier, also known as Scary Terry, and Chum, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally conspire to devise a scheme and artifice to defraud the betting companies and to obtain money and property from them by means of one or more materially false, fraudulent pretenses, representations, and promises, and for the purpose of executing such schemes, the artifice to transmit and cause to be transmitted by means of wire communication in interstate and foreign commerce, writings, signs, signals, pictures, and sounds contrary to Title 18 of the United States Code, Section 1343, and Title 18 United States Code, Section 1349 and 3551. Sequentially, look, count 2, conspiracy to commit money laundering. Boom. As you see it, the same thing. And then they go down the names, everybody that was in the indictment, as you read here. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna waste you with that, because I mean, it's just basically saying the same thing, but just in the money laundering aspect, right? Wow. So they got wire fraud, money laundering, right? Listen, this is where it get heavy right here. Criminal forfeiture allegation as to count 1. Listen, because this is when they take your shit from you. You know what I mean? The United States hereby gives notice to the defendants that upon their conviction of the offense charged in count 1, the government will seek the forfeit in accordance with Title 18, United States Code, Section 981, right? Title 28, United States Code, Section 2461, which require any persons convicted of such offense to forfeit any property, real or personal, constituting or derived from the proceeds obtained directly or indirectly as a result of such offense. If any of the above described forfeitable property as a result of any act or omission of the defendants cannot be located upon the exercise of due diligence, have been transferred or sold or disposited with a third party, has been placed beyond the jurisdiction of the court, has been substantially diminished in value, or has been commingled with other property which cannot be divided without difficulty. It is the intent of the United States pursuant to Title 21 United States Code Section 853 to seek forfeiture of any property of the defendants up to the value of the forfeitable property described in the forfeiture allegations, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, basically, you know, and count two is the same thing. So they got 2 counts, ladies and gentlemen, and it don't look good for the home team. Like I said, wow. Like I said, nobody has greed. It's always greed, man, that catch up to dudes. Like I said, so it is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate each and every one of you, and you see a true bill, signed by the United States Attorney, Eastern District of New York. Ladies and gentlemen, your boy Delray, straight gang.
They said Tupac was untouchable, but behind the walls of Rikers Island, He was just a man, wounded, watching his back, and wondering who he could trust. He survived bullets, betrayal, and isolation behind bars. But what happened inside those walls has never been told until now. In the darkest corner of Rikers, he found betrayal and a brotherhood no one saw coming. These dudes smiled in my face, then flipped and tried to kill me, and I never saw it coming. They were Puff's security, Biggie's muscle, Henchman's people, and Tupac knew exactly who sent them. This is the side of Tupac Shakur the world never got to see, told by the man who lived it with him, not in the studio, but in a 6x9 cell. The rap battles, sex and drama with female guards, the tears, the silence after Jada Pinkett's visit, and the moment Tupac almost broke. Before Death Row, before All Eyes on Me, before Machiavelli, there was Rikers. Behind the Walls with Tupac Shakur, available now on Amazon. Get your copy. Learn the truth.